Beginning a few minutes late. I'm the announcer and the technical, and my other compatriot, Ray Armentrout, has had a hard time getting on the Zoom. So she's going to do the introduction, and she will do it on the phone. But she's sorry that she can't join us. So just a couple of words. Before we begin, we're very happy to have Peter Gizzi here this afternoon. Next Sunday will be Joseph Donahue. The 19th will be Lissa Walsack. Sunday, the 26th, will be Charles Bernstein. And then Ray and I will be finishing up the Enclave for this season. Perhaps we'll be back in the fall. Ray needs no introduction. I'm sorry, she has to be here by the phone. She has a new book coming out, Conjure, from Wesleyan in October, and she's published no less than 14 books of poems, and she lives in the Seattle area. So even though we're totally dependent on Zoom, this is the first time Ray and I have ever done a reading series together, because the proximity of being like 20 miles away from each other gave us the idea to do a Zoom. Silly as that may be. Okay, here's Ray.
Okay, thank you, Jean. I'm so sorry that I couldn't make this work, but the IBM password is not working for me for some reason. So anyway, I hope you can all hear me. I'm going to speak up. Peter Gizzi is the author of 9 collections of poetry, most recently Sky Burial, a selected poems out from Carcanet, I never know how to say that, in the UK. Archeophonics, which was a finalist for the National Book Award in 2016, In Defense of Nothing, and Threshold Songs, all from Wesleyan. His poems have been awarded 11 Younger Poet Award and fellowships from the Rex Foundation, the Howard Foundation, the Foundation for Contemporary Arts, and the Guggenheim. Gizzi is also an important editor. His editing projects include Oblique, a journal of language arts, where he published some of my poems way back when I was youngish and he was a child. The Exact Change Yearbook, The House That Jack Built, which is a collected letters of Jack Spicer, and My Vocabulary Did This to Me, the collected poetry of Jack Spicer, which he co-edited with Kevin Killian. He is on the faculty at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He also has a new book forthcoming from Wesleyan later this year. It will be called Now It's Dark. His poems are elegies, or his poems are about being torn apart and floating free. Here are a few lines from the poem, A Panic Can Still Come Over Me. If today I am still calling aloud, if I break into pieces of glitter on asphalt, bits of sun, the din. These poems come from an old place where grief overlaps with beauty. Gizzi is a poet of disembodied brightness. To quote from A Winding Sheet for Summer, I'm not ready to put the book down, to stop singing bright spots, thrilling the quicksilver over my torrent. The singing here is mixed with shining water. It doesn't seem to inhabit a body. Reading Gizzi is almost like having a near-death experience. You know those accounts from people who have nearly died and who say they left their bodies and hovered above it, and that everything was fine, better than fine. Peter's writing invokes and produces something like that, a near religious ecstasy, but one with no God in sight. His first book was called Periplum. Gizzi told the Paris Review that periplum is a term for an ancient form of navigation, a kind of mapless way of moving through space. He has a lot of experience now in moving through the poem using this technique. It's as if he has learned to give up control and still find a perfect balance, writing whatever carries his voice. A few lines from his poem Archeophonics say it best. I'm just visiting this voice, I'm saying it and it's saying me. The archive is in the mouth and the archive is on fire. Indeed. If anyone tells you the lyric is dead, give them Peter Gizzi. And now here is Peter Gizzi.
Okay, thanks to Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much, Ray. You honor me.
Okay, I hope I can hear you.
Good luck. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm here in my room, and I'm going to read primarily from my last book, Archeophonics, and my forthcoming book, Now It's Dark, and it'll be about 30 minutes. But I'd like to begin with a quote that I've had tacked above my wall or above my writing space. I've always found it, to be, it just guides me. And it's from Williams, and it's the introduction to his 1944 book, The Wedge. The war is the first and only thing in the world today. The arts generally are not. Nor is this writing a diversion from that for relief, a turning away. It is the war, or part of it, merely a different sector of the field. Sentences in a synapse field. For I wanted sound to dig into sound, for snow and blood, for wine and mirrors, for electrons and electricity, for debris, for damaged art, our collective fortune, future. For as long as there have been soldiers, there have been poets. For as long as poets, there has been a bridge. For I wanted to hold a room in silence, for debris flooding back into a wave. For as long as particles a charge, for it should be incredulity to be alive, for these things that can be told until mystery becomes elegy, for it was March going into April, for the day was speaking the day, for what you thought, for what you buried, for who you are. I thought to read this one because it really speaks about being alone in a room. When orbital proximity feels creepy. Right now, there are teenage microwaves screaming through your body while you are having text with me. This is the moment I'll need you to sing with me. I'm making my way in some dark room looking for other structures to love. From the left, something speaking I can't identify. The floor goes unfixed and moving, and this doesn't happen only at night, but during the day when I don't want to think on it. But I saw a blood orange ball caught out my window, that I'm listening to light, and it said time. I'm listening to time. It says, ha, you need to be howling at bloody torn space, need to be spooked out of your hidey hole and its glowing mess. But I love this ball I'm riding on, the strange hunk of metal and rock whizzing around my loves and my loving, the fact I spin and it spins and everything is spinning close up. From far away, it's so cool. I guess they call this physics or they call it laws. If they're so well made, why do we suffer? I thought the day was opening, but now I see it's already gone. Outside, the cruel dove has a broken window. The day isn't friendly. Who are you to me? A way to understand the floor that holds me up and leaves me standing. I don't know where to go, me, Tuesday at 5 p.m. What does it mean to be in a room, any room, the wind banging against the clapboard? I know enough to see the cracked pane isn't going to be fixed any time soon. Who has time for such things in the song? Breaking, blooming, the wobble of light on wood grain late in the day, in the loneliness of orange, in the loveliness of orange. Release the darkness to new lichen. But I found a way to say no to the wood in my house. It kept creaking, wouldn't stop talking. I found a way to say, no, I need to be standing in the warmth of the wood that the sun made. I need to find myself dissolving, otherwise I'm lost. Did I say that? I saw the frill of light today, walking on the path. Did you hear the stirring in the wood, pine needles in the branches? Was it wind or a creature? Am I here or is it over? This was the first day, the nothing day in the nothing year. It gave me courage. It gave hints of blue, clouds, electrical and dancing. It gave me rays I've never seen, shooting down, touching things. This was the first day. This next poem is it's a short poem called Archeophonics, which simply means the archaeology of lost or buried sound. Archeophonics. I'm just visiting this voice. I'm just visiting the molecular structures that say what I am saying. I am just visiting the world at this moment, and it's on fire. It's always been on fire. I'm saying this, and it's saying me. That's how it works. Seesaw-like, the archive in the mouth, and the archive is on fire. That's the story. The sun in the body, and the body in the sun. It was like this, just like this, the world that's coming toward me, and the world around me. Around me are words saying this, saying fire, saying something, or all of it. So I'm going to read 5 small poems from a longer series called Field Recordings. 1, languor. So they're all about language, sorry, yeah. 1, languor. The old language is the old language, with its lance and greaves, broken shields and hammered vowels, a stairway ascending into a mirror. See it climb the old helix beneath the scarred and chipped northerly sky, rotunda blue. Sing genetic cloud forms mirroring the syntax and reflection, and what would you have? Paving stones, rhetoric, the coping of bridges, leanings, what is taken from res. To reconstruct, to recognize the categories have failed, that the index was a liar. The lists have grown lonely far from home, houses of worship, roofs, toy stores and liquor stores, names, historical furniture, descriptions of architecture, patina in a fanfare city. I have eaten the air of that city. 3, rapper frag. The world today is slowcore, a rhythm section dragging. At the moment, I drag and solo in a bitten landscape, torn vowels that sound out vowel, or sadness like glitter sprinkled in a mind. A sun/parking lot thinking a poem stalled in the broken surround. See the chubby kid dazed, his spilled bike, more debris, CVS in the distance. Remember me to convenience stores. I saw this too, every life of my day, yet I ate. I had money and a car. 6, strangeness becomes you. The old language is the old language. It don't mean shit. It's not where you begin. It's how you finish. Everyone's got beer muscles when they're young. Try as you must, break as you will. Solo in space, clinging to space. Fuck, the air said, passing a corner. A long, ropey snot hitting a gutter. To know something and fail. Why discounted? The onslaught of eyes beneath a fuck you sky. The syntax breaks down its mangled draft and says, one day the poor will have nothing to eat but the rich. I hate that. when syntax connects me to the rich. 7, reverb. I hate how syntax connects me to shit, or say the day is jeweled and burning, the fire's banking, and none of its letters produce the horror at the heart of the index. The old document hangs over the twin stare of murder and something else, that original slap of glove. The project is archival, all that blood in the mouth. The old language could have told you it's too late. We watched you die, watched you move through shocking losses in the solo flight you are taking back into the old language. It's the same, but different now. The mouth knows the bit, the taste of it. Coda, rhyme. It was a language to eat the sky, a language to say goodbye, standing with others, standing in the dust. The old language continues its dialogues in ordinary dust. Still with me? You're in silence? Okay, so now I'm going to read poems from my new book, forthcoming book called Now It's Dark. Seems like truth in advertising. Speech acts for a dying world. A field sparrow is at my window tapping at its reflection, a tired antique god trying to communicate. It's getting to me. As I set out to sing the nimbus of flora under a partly mottled sky. As I look at the end and sing, so what? Sing, live now, thinking, why not? I'm listening and receiving now, and it feeds me. I'm always hungry when the beautiful is too much to carry inside my winter, when my library is full of loss, full of wonder. As the polis is breaking and casts a shadow over all of me, thinking of it. When the shadows fall in ripples, when the medium I work in is deathless, and I'm living inside one great example of stubbornness, as my head is stove in by a glance, as the day's silver tip buds sway in union, waving to the corporate sky, when I said work and meant lyric. When I thought I was done with a poem as a vehicle to understand violence. I thought I was done with a high-toned, shitty world, done with a voice in its constituent pap. Call down the inherited phenomenal world when it's raining in the book, lost to the world in an abundance of world, like listening to a violin when the figure isn't native, but the emotion is. When everything is snow and what lies ahead is a mesmer's twirling locket. I thought I was done with the marvel of ephemeral shadow play, the great design, and all that. I thought I was done with time, its theatricality, glamour, and guff. Gusting cloud, I see you. I become you in my solitary thinging here in partial light. When I said voice, I meant the whole unholy grain of it. It felt like paradise. Meaning rises and sets. Now a hunter overhead, now a bear at the pole, and the sound of names, the parade of names. This next poem was written on a street near where I live, where I walk. Here in Massachusetts, in Western Massachusetts, that I saw the light on Nonotuck Avenue, that every musical note is a flame native in its own tongue, that between bread and ash there is fire, that the day swells and crests, that I found myself born into it with sirens and trucks going by out here in a poem. That there are other things that go into poems, like the pigeon, cobalt, dirty windows, sun, that I have seen skin and marble, eye and stone, that the information I carry is mostly bacterial, that I am a host, that the ghost of the text is unknown, that I live near an Air Force base and the sound in the sky is death. That sound, like old poetry, can kill us. That there are small things in the poem, paper clips, gauze, tater tots, and knives, that there can also be emptiness fanning out into breakfast rolls, macadam, stars, that I am hungry, that I seek knowledge of the ancient sycamore that also lives in the valley where I live, that I call to it, that there are airships overhead, that I live alone in my head out here in a poem near a magical tree, that I saw the light on Nonotuck Avenue and heard the cry of a dove recede into a rustle, that its cry was quiet light falling into a coffin, that it altered me, that today the river is a camera obscura bending trees, that I sing this of metallic shimmer, sing the sky, the song, all of it, and wonder if I am dying, would you come back for me? Now it's dark. Not the easiest day I'm having, clouds banking, and I drop my signal. I was trying to find my shoes and thought, I am overpowered by the gigantism of commercial governing. As I look for my shoes this morning, the thought was, where am I going? There isn't a place I can walk out from under this chemical sky. So I thought I would write a poem. I thought I would try and make art. But the chemicals seep into everything. Reader, if I could, I would bring back for you a sun made in crayon, a sun unformed in the paper sky. I wonder the paper that made me. Being human, I know that paper makes my mind. Strange pulp, reminding me I am far away. When my brother could no longer speak, I said, Tommy, I got this. Even if I don't want this, I'll sing for you. When my brother had no voice, there was only the couch and a wooden floor, the ceiling and the TV with nothing blaring. When my brother lost his voice, I lost my childhood, lost the sun over sand in some place I can't remember in Rhode Island summer. So far from myself in a body I can't remember, to no longer remember my body as a child, to no longer remember today all that was. Van Gogh was tormented by the sun, and why not? A constant blade searing light that kills and cures. I am not comforted by the cold stability of universal laws, though one day I'll die and think, that's okay. At least I'm writing, and it makes a party in the dark, a zombie feature that connects me to the undying. I read every moment as an opportunity for grace and think every moment is a possibility of art. I tie my shoes and now I'm standing alone in some inky light. Yesterday I passed a budget motel next to the People's Bank. If there's some connection, it's lost on me, my heart lost on me. Whether, like thought, dissolves into static, a wiggy keepsake like nesting dolls of my spiritual blank, sky opening into blank. I thought grief is a form of grace. Then someone said, the thing about money is that it's money. I live on the edge of an expanding circumference alone in some inky light. Now rain turns the world to constant applause. The day is uncoupled. All there is thunder as the house decays into a sound like me. Freezing rain with silver seems to be speaking and isn't asking me anything, just doing its thing in the gray morning. I was down with materialism, but wanted mystery. I've asked myself a lot of questions like why the days cascade swiping left for life, right for lost. All of it a dumb show, all of me invested in poetry and the arrogance of this, wanting to transpose loneliness. Why not take on the next life with its silence? On my desk, there are small plastic creatures. The light on them is unrealistic. It uncouples me. or the sight of serious windows opening out onto serious lawns. This must be a government building. This must be the anodyne room of a hospital beeping, every pronouncement on the feed, alien. I'm in this corridor, wandering a mind. But the day is past caring. The rhythmus is blooming at the beginning of the way back when. I am sick with tradition and its weak signaling. Sparkling eclogues drift and contribute little to the cause. I am an incident trapped in thick description. Just Google it. Dust jacket shows some rubbing, near fine in cloth. The present is constant elegy. Those years when I was alive, I lived the era of the fast car. There were silhouettes in gold and royal blue, a half-light and tire marks across a field, times when the hollyhocks spoke. There were weeds in a hopescape, as in a painted backdrop, there is also a face. And then I found myself when the poem wanted me in pain, writing this. The sky was always there, but useless. And what of the blue flocks on stage and morphing? Chance blossoms so quickly. It's a wonder we recognize anything, wanting one love to walk out of the ground. Passion comes from a difficult world. I'm sick of twilight when the light is crushed. Time unravels its string. Along the way, I discovered a voice, a sun-stroked path choked with old light, a ray already blown. Look at the world, its veil. This one's from Threshold Songs. I like the word apocrypha. It's got the word cry in it. And I also like the idea of a text of dubious origin that's uncanonical. Apocrypha. Wisdom is a kindly spirit, but does it love me? And righteousness, there's nothing in it. To poetry, I leave my senses, my deregulation, custodial duties. To be a janitor is a great consolation. It gave me my mother back through all her years. To love these children so full of neurons and consciousness, what joy to clean up and put a shine on their mess. To my mother, I leave my veil, my wing, the window, and time. I, artifact. In this age, the hand is a voice. I leave the voice, the wonder, the mirror, my lens, bent and beholden to the worm, leaf work and wrought iron, eerie illuminations and deep sea vision. I've seen the Eurostar, the drunken boat in Davy Jones' locker. I've seen Spanish galleons in the HS Malberly covered in brine. There is this line from cloud dander to the solo bulb of morning, a string through common prayer. I like it when the gray-green shadows suddenly day-glow over the rushes, the wind in my head. To write is an equal and opposite reaction, my comrade, communard, my friendo. What is it finally thinking what? In winter's dusty alcove, the body talks, the day was cloudy, the light muddy, dreary when they took it down. To times Roman, I give my stammer, my sullenness, my new world violence, form and all that, forms and all that paper, gusts, little buttress. I send love and weapons to everyone possessed with night visions. When those green lights flash and blink, is that it? When the it continues strangely for a bit, then falls into a line, is it over? I quantified daily the wonder in the grain. I found I was over and singular, yet many, the many and the singular, the many and the evolutionary, the many and the grain, many more. Who in hell am I writing for? This vision is silly, teenage and mine, a spot on the negative, a hole in composition. I quantify, I loaf, I wonder, I find, I rev. Here the day's mud, night is a satellite, and anger my cleft, my birthmark and star. Anger might be a better way to say, I love you, truer than, how are you in space? Are you cold? Can I get you a blanket? To the pole star, I leave my alien regalia, my off-world headdress. I leave acoustic forms in time, blooming, sudsy, inconsolable. If you are unsatisfied, then welcome. Here there are people working every corner of every inch of grass. The meticulously arranged outside reminds me of ocean and feels old. In space, the letter forms I love oscillate in waves. I lose myself in waves, speaking the half of me that forgot to say goodbye when I meant to say, how come? Memory continues to bloom. More songs about death and dying, songs of inexperience. More songs about being and loss, being in loss. More songs about seeing and feeling. If you are critical, all the better to see and to miss it, to misunderstand, to fail at empathy and love, to not understand love and to love, to be everything and to love whatever. To mercy I leave whatever. All right, two more from Now It's Dark. Here's a short one. The blossom is stronger than us. But to want the beauty of the hollyhock, Augustine sad reading in the alcove. So much sand and wind with us all this time. So many bullets and boys crying mother before the weather. But why, after all this, nothing but the changing weather, playing the changes, the children, in the magnitude, love, in the horror, love. I'll close with the last poem from the book. Thanks so much for listening. I have some water. You can see that all my new poems are about poetry and death. I guess those are the two things I've been meditating on. I wrote this book while I was caring for my brother Tom, who was dying of ALS, and that was a horrible journey that's now done. And I was amazed that I could write through it, and I don't write autobiographically, but I can write through it. From this end of sadness, a particular blur attended my mind from end to end, these feelings of futurelessness, to free fall into it. It feels like winter, the light overcast and the day lit up from within. To find a line in it, I found a world torched into renewal, blackened stalks pointing skyward. I took fortification from goneness. At this end, the notation is green. No stopping music entering air and tearing air. The songs were old songs. They came with the wren and the robin, also the crow, so dear to reality and elegy and traffic, its essential din, the synesthesia of the din. From this end of sadness, I identified the voice as dead. It was companionable. I identified sky turning topaz. I did not understand shadows, did not understand luminosity. I did not understand the code that held me to the world. From this end, glistening leaves, cool air. Wandering out into it, wandering through it, the day crumbles to dust inside a blue dahlia. I am that dust and dahlia. I am coeval with a rotting trunk and the pine needles regenerating soil. I am happiest with a forest floor, branches listing under a porcelain sky. I'm into that medieval light glancing through leaves. The tree's arches are a great kingdom now. From this end of sadness, there's nothing out there I want, and wonder if there's anything in here I need. I'm into the way the technology of an eye is filled with the dead. I'm heavy with light when the old sun is speaking, when I'm not sure the day is real, when it's hard to be in it and of it, to be here with it and under it. From this end of sadness, shapes come, all the boldest shadows. From this end, animals, the oldest eyes, the cri de coeur, afternoons hung with seeping light. Poor sun waiting to die, poor sun solo in space, fueling our heads, a tiny sun in the mind. Right now, a particle decays on the lawn. From this end, gravity decays in the mind. To never forget the corners and dust bunnies of the laughing sun. But if the song weren't a bright star hanging in the firmament, what can be said for burning embers in the fire? I see you turning and bending there in the cold dream of the past, braiding with the now of blur. Blur with me when I am sick of dying, fearful of failing the song I love. Be with me whenever I sit wasting days. Comfort the hours. Thank you.